She was young, vibrant, and on the cusp of a new chapter in her life. Emily had dreams as bright as the future she believed awaited her, a future that included the child she was determined to bring into this world. But that decision would mark the beginning of an unimaginable nightmare. In a small, unassuming town where whispers travel faster than the wind, Emily's story was just another happy announcement until she disappeared without a trace. What unfolded next revealed a chilling series of events that left even seasoned investigators questioning how such a tragedy could unfold in plain sight. The truth was far more shocking than anyone could have prepared for. As pieces of the puzzle fell into place, a harrowing picture emerged, and all eyes turned to the person who claimed to love her most. What really happened to Emily? And what led to the horrifying discovery that would leave her family shattered forever? She had everything to look forward to, a growing life inside her and dreams of becoming a mother. For Emily, this was supposed to be the happiest time of her life, but what started as a celebration of new beginnings turned into an unthinkable tragedy. In the days leading up to her disappearance, there were no clear warnings, no cries for help, just quiet moments between a young woman and the man she believed loved her. But as those closest to Emily began piecing together her final days, a far more chilling story began to surface. Was it love, or was it control? Was it fear, or was it desperation? And how did the man she trusted most become the prime suspect in her murder? This is a story of dreams cut short, trust betrayed, and a crime that would shock even the most seasoned investigators. This is the tragic story of Emily, a young woman full of hope and joy as she prepared to welcome her first child into the world. But the man she trusted, the father of her unborn baby, would ultimately become her killer. What makes this case stand out isn't just the heartbreaking loss of a mother and child. It's the lengths one person would go to in an attempt to erase the life they helped create. When I first came across this story, I couldn't believe the layers of heartbreak, betrayal, and calculated cruelty involved. What truly happened to Emily, and what drove someone so close to her to commit such an unthinkable act? Let's uncover the truth. Emily Parker was just 20 years old, a young woman with her entire life ahead of her. Described by friends and family as warm, ambitious, and full of energy, Emily had dreams of building a stable and happy life for her and her future child. Just weeks before her tragic end, she shared the exciting news with her loved ones. She was expecting her first baby. The joy on her face, captured in photos and videos, showed a young woman ready to embrace motherhood despite the challenges ahead. But life wasn't perfect for Emily. Her relationship with 23-year-old James Harper, the father of her unborn child, was far from ideal. James, a charismatic yet troubled man, had a history of financial instability and a growing reputation for being temperamental. At first glance, their relationship seemed normal, dinners out, moments shared on social media. But those closest to Emily knew there were cracks beneath the surface. Some said James struggled with the idea of responsibility, while others hinted at a darker side he kept hidden from the world. It was late summer in a quiet suburban neighborhood just outside of Cedar Ridge, a small town known for its close-knit community. It was the kind of place where everyone knew each other, where the streets were lined with tidy houses and trimmed lawns, and where nothing ever seemed out of the ordinary. Until now, the pressure of an unplanned pregnancy loomed over the couple. Emily, though nervous, was committed to keeping her baby, believing it would bring purpose to her life. For James, however, the prospect of fatherhood didn't align with his plans. Friends mentioned his growing frustration, and Emily's mother recalled a conversation where James allegedly expressed doubts about their future together. In hindsight, the signs were there. Subtle shifts in James's behavior, tensions rising in conversations that once felt normal. Emily's growing silence about their relationship. But in the moment, no one imagined these small details would lead to the tragedy that unfolded next. When Emily announced her pregnancy, the reactions were mixed. Her family, overjoyed at the prospect of a new addition, rallied around her with unwavering support. Friends described her as glowing, thrilled about the life she was preparing to bring into the world. But James's reaction was less enthusiastic. According to Emily's closest friend, Sarah, James's response to the pregnancy was lukewarm at best. While he didn't outright oppose the idea, there was an undeniable shift in his demeanor. He seemed distant, distracted, and often irritable when the topic came up. As the weeks passed, their once happy relationship began to unravel. Emily confided in Sarah that their arguments had become more frequent and heated. James would insist they weren't ready for a child and that this wasn't part of the plan. Emily, in turn, stood her ground, determined to keep her baby despite James's growing objections. Neighbors later reported hearing loud arguments coming from the couple's home, particularly in the days leading up to Emily's disappearance. One neighbor recalled hearing Emily's voice raised in frustration, followed by the sound of a door slamming. At the time, no one thought much of it, just another disagreement in a young couple's life. But hindsight would reveal these were warning signs of something much darker. And then, one night, Emily simply vanished. Her family grew worried when Emily didn't show up for a family dinner, a gathering she had been excited about just days earlier. Calls and texts to her phone went unanswered. At first, some thought she might simply need space. But as hours turned into days, concern turned to panic. A desperate search ensued. Friends and family combed the neighborhood, handing out flyers and calling her name in parks and empty streets. The police got involved, launching an official investigation. The quiet community of Cedar Ridge transformed into the epicenter of a growing mystery. But amid the chaos, James's behavior raised eyebrows. While others frantically searched, he appeared strangely calm, even detached. His explanations for Emily's absence were vague, leaving more questions than answers. Some noticed cryptic posts on his social media, photos with ambiguous captions seemingly hinting at unresolved emotions, and there were whispers about a text message Emily had sent to a friend the night she disappeared, a message that hinted at trouble but didn't provide enough clarity to piece it all together. What truly happened that night? What could lead a young woman with so much to live for to suddenly vanish without a trace? Emily's loved ones would soon discover the horrifying truth, but not before the community endured weeks of uncertainty and fear. The investigation began immediately after Emily was reported missing. Her family, distraught and desperate for answers, shared every detail they could with authorities. Emily was last seen on a Thursday evening, leaving her parents' home after dinner. She told her mother she had plans to talk to James about the pregnancy, an issue that had been a source of tension between them. As investigators pieced together the timeline, unsettling details began to emerge. Surveillance footage from a gas station near James's home showed Emily driving toward his neighborhood around 9 p.m. that night. But after that, her trail went cold. The first major break in the case came from Emily's best friend, Sarah. She told police about a text message Emily had sent her at 9:45 p.m., a message that read, "I'm scared. He's really angry this time." It was the last communication anyone received from her. With this new lead, investigators turned their focus to James. When questioned, he claimed he hadn't seen Emily in several days and had no idea where she could be. But his story quickly unraveled. Investigators noticed inconsistencies in James's account of the night Emily disappeared. He initially claimed to have been home alone watching TV, but phone records showed multiple calls made during the time he was supposedly at home. Worse still, his texts to Emily abruptly stopped after that night, a stark contrast to their usual, frequent exchanges. And then came the most damning piece of evidence, A neighbor of James reported hearing what sounded like a heated argument late that evening, followed by a loud thud and the sound of a car door slamming. Days later, a search warrant for James's property revealed chilling evidence. Bloodstains were discovered in the trunk of his car, along with a faint trace on the driveway leading to the garage. Forensic analysis confirmed the blood was Emily's. As investigators continued their search, they found more troubling evidence: strands of Emily's hair tangled in a broken bracelet near James's backyard fence. These clues painted a grim picture of what had transpired that night. The breakthrough came 3 weeks after Emily's disappearance, when her body was discovered in a shallow grave just outside of town, near a wooded area James was known to frequent. The crime scene was brutal. Emily had suffered multiple blunt force injuries, and forensic analysis revealed she had died shortly after the time she sent her final text to Sarah. Forensic evidence solidified James's connection to the crime. A fragment of fabric found near the grave matched a shirt James had been seen wearing the night Emily disappeared. Further analysis of his phone placed him near the burial site in the early hours of the morning. But the question remained: why? Investigators delved into James's motives and uncovered a troubling pattern. Friends of the couple revealed that James had been vocal about not wanting children, citing financial strain and the fear of losing his freedom. He had even suggested termination several times, but Emily had firmly refused. Theories emerged that James had felt trapped and panicked, viewing Emily's decision to keep the baby as a threat to the future he envisioned for himself. In a moment of rage or desperation, he made the unthinkable decision to silence her forever. By the time the case went to trial, the evidence was overwhelming. Prosecutors presented a detailed timeline of the night Emily was killed, backed by forensic findings, witness testimonies, and digital records. The jury would soon be faced with the daunting task of deciding James's fate. On June 15th, after weeks of painstaking investigation, police formally charged James Matthews with the first-degree murder of Emily Carson and their unborn child. The arrest sent shockwaves through their quiet community. James, once viewed as a devoted boyfriend, now faced accusations of a crime so horrifying it seemed almost incomprehensible. Emily's family, still grappling with the loss, expressed a mixture of relief and heartbreak. Her mother, speaking to reporters, said, "We are grateful for justice, but it doesn't bring our Emily back. She was so full of life, so excited to become a mom." As the case moved to trial, the courtroom became a battleground of emotions and evidence. The prosecution presented a mountain of damning details: Emily's blood in James's car, his phone records placing him at the burial site, and the haunting text message Emily sent to her best friend just moments before her death. The most devastating moment came when Emily's younger sister took the stand. Through tears, she recalled how excited Emily had been about becoming a mother, and how she had refused to let fear dictate her decisions. Her testimony brought many in the courtroom to tears. The defense, however, painted a different picture. James's attorneys argued that the evidence was circumstantial, claiming there was no definitive proof tying him to the act of murder. They suggested that Emily's death could have been the result of an unknown third party. But their arguments struggled to hold weight against the overwhelming forensic evidence and James's inconsistent alibi. The jury deliberated for less than 5 hours before returning their verdict. James Matthews was found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The judge's stern words during sentencing echoed the sentiments of many. "Your actions extinguished 2 lives, one full of hope and promise, and another yet to begin. The court cannot undo this tragedy, but it will ensure you face the consequences of your choices." Public reaction to the verdict was swift and divided. Many hailed the outcome as justice served, while others debated the complexities of the case. Social media lit up with posts honoring Emily's memory, with hashtags like Number Justice for Emily and Number Remember Emily trending nationwide. For Emily's family, the resolution brought some closure but left an irreplaceable void. Her mother shared a heartfelt statement. "We will always remember Emily's laughter, her dreams, and the love she had for her baby. She deserved so much better than this, but we find solace knowing she will never be forgotten." This story serves as a heartbreaking reminder of how domestic violence can escalate with devastating consequences. It highlights the importance of recognizing warning signs and supporting those in vulnerable situations. Emily's life, full of promise and love for the child she was preparing to welcome, was tragically cut short. Her story should compel us to ask, what more can we do to protect those at risk? Do you believe this tragedy could have been prevented? Were there missed opportunities for intervention? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. If you found this video compelling and want to see more true crime stories that go beyond the headlines, make sure to like this video, share it with others, and hit that subscribe button. Your support helps us bring these stories to light and honor the lives affected by these tragedies. And don't go far. We have more gripping stories on the way. Next week, we'll explore the chilling unsolved case of a missing college student whose mysterious disappearance left investigators with more questions than answers. You won't want to miss it. Thank you for watching. Take care, and remember, if you or someone you know is in a dangerous situation, reach out for help, because no one should have to face it alone.